Hey guys, it's Miss Peltier back for another distance learning lesson. Don't forget, if you have questions, make sure that you hop on one of our hangouts. Mr. Cleveland's at 9, I'm at 11, Miss Blatt's at 1, and Mr. Monbruin is at 2, and then I'm back at 7. So if you need help, make sure you come and ask. So we're going to get ready to add and subtract rational expressions, which we also know rational means fractions, so we know that we're going to need some common denominators. So I start off with a basic, easy problem like what you did in probably 6th grade. And so just to refresh your memory, because it's been a while and you don't do fractions every day, we've been practicing our LCMs. So just like we did our LCM, we'll start off with our 6 and our 9 and do our upside down dividing. Well, I know that with 6 and 9, they have a common factor of 3. So if I divide 3 into 6, I get 2. If I divide 3 into 9, I get 3. And we know from having done our LCM activities that these numbers multiply together to give us our LCM. So if I do 3 times 2 times 3, that gives me 18. So 18 is my LCM, or my common denominator. So we know what that means is for my equation, or for my expressions that I want to add, if my common denominator is going to be 18, I'm going to have 18 on the denominator and 18 on the denominator, because I have to make them look alike. So in order to make 6 look like 18, I have to multiply this fraction by a factor of 1, meaning 1 could be 2 over 2, 3 over 3, 5 over 5, whatever that number needs to be. So what we're looking for is, what do we multiply 6 by to get 18? Well, we multiply by 3. So in order for this to be a factor of 1, it needs to be 3 over 3. So to get my numerator, I'm going to multiply 3 times 5 and get 15. I'll do the same thing on the right-hand side. I'm looking for, what am I going to multiply 9 by to get 18? So this time I need to multiply by 2. So my factor of 1 is going to look like 2 over 2. So when I multiply 2 times 4, I get 8. So once we have those, our denominators are the same. We merely add straight across the top. We don't touch the denominator. We worked really hard to get that denominator. Keep it there. And now when I add 15 and 8, I get 23. I would look to see if I have any common factors. As long as I don't, I'm good. If I do, I would reduce it. But 23 is a prime number, so we're fine. Okay? So let's get a little bit harder and look at some monomials in the denominator. Monomial meaning we've got a variable down there, we've got some things that are multiplied together. We're still going to do our LCMs exactly the same. We have 2x and we have 5x. So what's common in those two? Well, the common factor would be the x. So when I divide x into 2x, I get 2. When I divide x into 5x, I get 5. So therefore, my LCM, remember it's these 3 things, we multiply them all together, that would give me 10x. So I now want my 10x to be in the denominator. So, and if you notice, I left some space between my number and my fractions so that I'd have room to write that common factor that I'm going to be multiplying, or that factor of 1. So 2x times what gives me 10x? Well, that would be times 5. So my factor of 1 looks like 5 over 5. 5 times 3y gives me 15y. Here, multiplying to get 5x to look like 10x, I need to multiply by 2. So my factor of 1 looks like 2 over 2. 2z times 2 gives me 4z. Now when we multiply, when we add straight across the top, you're adding only your tops. Since this is a 15y and that's a 4z, we cannot collect those. They're not like terms. Although our denominator does still stay 10x, it's going to simply be 15y plus 4z on the top. Okay, remember you can't reduce your 4 with your 10. We did that with simplifying, because this is a plus up here. You can only reduce factors, not terms. All right? So another one to practice similar to that. Again, do your LCM the same way. 7y and 3y. So we're going to be dividing. Common factor of those is going to be y. Y goes into 7y 7 times. Y goes into 3y 3 times. LCM, when I multiply these together, y times 7 times 3 gives me 21y. So if I make that my common denominator, 21y. Now, notice this is subtraction, and I forgot to mention that earlier. When we're doing subtraction, those of you that have been in my class long enough know that when we do polynomials or anything that has a subtraction, I go ahead and make that a plus a negative, because I tend to lose that if I don't make it a negative up there, and then I can just collect. So I'm going to make that a plus, and my other denominator will be 21y. Now, to determine what I multiply by, 7y times what gives me 21y? 3. So my factor of 1 is 3 over 3. 3 times 6 gives me 18. Same thing on the right side. 3 times what gives me 3y times what gives me 21y, and that would be 7y. Sorry, just 7. Getting ahead of myself. Sorry. Now when we multiply, we get negative 14y. Again, just like before, straight across the top. When we add, denominator stays the same, no change. Add across the top. I cannot collect those, so it's just 18 minus 14y. Not too bad? Okay, let's get a little bit harder. We are going to do another day of adding tomorrow that's going to be more difficult, so you can check, or the next lesson, so you can check that one out, because I'll have some more things down here that we're going to have to play around with, okay? So just like I did in the problem before, when you have a minus, I like to make it a plus a negative. So then I make sure that I don't lose that negative and that it stays with my 3. Notice my monomials are larger. I've got more stuff going on. So I have 8c squared d squared, and I have 14c to the 4th d. So if you notice, no matter how big this gets, doing my LCM this way, I still do the same process. So I'm still looking for what divides into 8 and 14, c squared and c to the 4th, d squared and d. You can take them one at a time if you want to do just the numbers. I know 2 goes into both of those. 2 goes into 8 4 times. I still have c squared, d squared. 2 goes into 14 7 times. I still have c to the 4th d. Okay? If that's not a common, if we still have common, which we do in our variables, you can just keep going. So, common, I notice that I have some c's. I have at most 2 c's in both of them, so I can take out a c squared. That leaves me with 4d squared and 7c squared d. I only take 2 out to give me a c squared. Okay, I still have a common d in both of those. So when I take my d out, I'm going to be left with a 4 and 1d. I had 2, so I took 1 out and I only have 1 left. With my 7, I have 7, I have a c squared, and no more d. Now there's nothing common in these two, so I know I'm finished. So my LCD is all of these multiplied together. Or LCM, sorry. Least common multiple, which is our lowest common denominator, or LCD as well. So when I multiply these together, I'm multiplying 2 times 4, which is 8, times 7, which is 56. With my c's, I have a c squared times a c squared, which is c to the 4th. I have a d times a d, which is d squared. So that's my LCD. or my LCM. Least common denominator, least common multiple. Now, if you notice that you could have possibly taken out 2c squared d at the very beginning and only done one step here, that's perfectly fine if that's what you want to do, if you can see that. I spread it out this time so that you could see what it would look like if you're like, I never see the whole thing the first time. That's okay. Take out the parts as you see them, all right? So if I want to make this 56 c to the fourth d squared for both denominators, I do the exact same thing, no matter how big it gets. It's what do I have to multiply this by, the denominator, to get this? Well, I'm going to have to multiply by 7, because 7 times 8 gives me 56. With my c's, I need 4. I've got 2, so I'm going to multiply by 2. Remember, we add the exponents. And with my d's, I've got enough. So I'm only having to multiply by 7c squared on the top and bottom. So when I multiply, I get 7c squared y squared. On the right side, 14, what do I need to multiply 14 by to get 56? I'm going to be multiplying by 4. And if you forget and you don't know what that's going to be, well, I just look over here and I notice 7 times 2 is 14, so this is the only one I hadn't multiplied by, so that's what I've got to multiply by. My c's, I've already got enough c's. And d's, I only need one more d. So I'll be multiplying top and bottom by 4d. When I multiply, negative 3x times 4d gives me a negative 12 dx. When we add straight across the top. We cannot collect those because they're different. So we're going to have 7c squared y squared minus 12 dx over 56 c to the fourth d squared. Okay? So we will have an assignment to go along with this to give you some practice. Make sure that you practice these and get pretty good at these so that when we move on, our next one will be with polynomial denominators. So we're going to have a lot of factoring and they're going to become much bigger. So make sure you practice these before you get ready for the other ones. Okay? And don't forget to check out a Hangout if you have questions, if you need more information about how to do these. Okay? So y'all have a good day. Stay safe. Keep washing your hands. Do what you're asked to do. Stay inside. Only go out if you need to. Hopefully we'll be back at the end before May. So hope to see y'all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.